All right, how's it going? I got another video for you. So this is happening in France, and we need to pay attention to places like Europe, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand to see. They're kind of like the canary in the coal mine when it comes to these kind of like, let's call them civil rights issues. Macron's big stick facing 6 months jail for entering cafe without COVID passport. French set jab record. So before we get into it, if you'd like to follow me, and help support me, you can do so on Subscribestar. France is making a disturbing authoritarian-style push to encourage its citizens to get vaccinated by announcing that a health pass would be required to participate in many daily activities, such as visiting a cafe. And from what I understand, like cafes is like the thing in France. I guess it would be similar to like, I don't know, basic girls going to Starbucks or something like that, if you want to make some kind of weird, quirky comparison. Within 72 hours of Monday's announcement, France broke its previous vaccination record and administered 800,000 shots in one day, according to The Guardian. More than 3 million people scheduled appointments to roll up their sleeves with Doctolib, a medical appointment website in France, taking in over 20,000 appointments each minute in the hours following the announcement. However, not everyone rushed to sign up for the largely experimental vaccine. About 20,000 protesters nationwide took to the streets to protest the stringent COVID-19 restrictions in what many call a dictatorship in France. The British paper reported it. The Wednesday protest coincided with Bastille Day, the National Day of France, that commemorates the storming of Bastille, which is ironically where political prisoners were often held. The increase in vaccinations and protests followed President Emmanuel Macron's Monday's announcement that a COVID health pass will be required to enter a restaurant, cafe, shopping center, hospital, or take a long-distance train in France. The pass will show if the person has received the jab or a negative COVID test within a prescribed amount of time, and will be required for anyone over 12 years old. The new rules are set to go in effect as early as July 21st. So, I mean, they kind of mentioned a negative COVID test in there too, but we'll get into it later where like they're starting to like, they'll talk about like they're going to like quit doing those to encourage people to get the vaccines. But also, I mean, at least here in America, I know like some medical doctors, like when you talk to your doctor, if you have like certain issues, like if you're pregnant or you usually have certain like allergies and stuff to vaccines, they may, I think some autoimmune diseases, there's like certain things that like your doctor would essentially tell you that it's probably not a good idea for you to get the vaccine. Because at first, anyway, too, they were pushing it to the older population that were like the most affected. Then now they're like trying to push it on like to young, healthy people. It's like, it's incredibly weird, like the amount they're pushing this. Like, there's like other videos talking about like where they're pushing like more and more propaganda. And it seems weird too. This is just kind of like a weird thing that I've like, because you've been hearing about like the Delta variant or whatever it is, but every time I hear somebody getting the Delta variant, it's someone that's gotten like the vaccine. I haven't heard of people like not with the vaccine getting it. So it's kind of a weird, like supposedly it's supposed to help with like symptoms, but you can still spread it. You can still get it. So what's the point of getting the vaccine? I don't know. It's for me, it's like, it was made super quick. I mean, other vaccines have like years of trials. Then if you do run into complications, you can't, like it's written in the law that you can't sue like Pfizer and J&J and all that stuff because it was like rushed out during like, it was like expedited by law. But I guess if the company you work for, like if they force or mandate you to do the vaccine, at least here in America, like if you run into complications there, you can sue your company if they mandate that. But I don't think anybody that's young or healthy should be getting it, in my opinion, because there's really no need to. And it's kind of funny too. Like the people are like, "Oh, we need to get this so we can take the mask off and resume." Like, no, you still got to wear a mask. No, you can still get it. No, you can still spread it. Then there's like people like David Hogg and stuff like on Twitter is like, I'm still gonna wear my mask because I don't want people to think I'm a Republican. It's like virtue signaling to fucking high. You know, I'm trying not to cuss because I think they have like AI. They'll search for it on here and like crush the spread of the video. Anyway, you've understood vaccination is not immediately obligatory for everyone, but we're going to extend the health pass to the maximum in order to push a maximum of you to go and get vaccinated. The French president told the nation, according to The Guardian. When tyrants and dictators use excessive force to take control of stuff, they always do it under the guise of safety. You need to give up some, we'll get into it like a later here too, but like, oh, you need to give up a little bit of your liberty here for your safety. Then what is it? If you give up your liberty for safety, you deserve neither. Which is, I just hope more Americans are not as, essentially not cheap. I'm just hoping it's, I don't know. Interestingly, some have alleged that the president himself is exempt from the vaccination requirements. He reportedly says in the video below that he is not vaccinated. Here's a tweet here like, hello. On the other hand, our dear President Macron seems to be exempt from compulsory vaccination. Thank you for watching the video. He says it very naturally that he is not vaccinated. I would play it, but it's all in French, and I don't understand French. So the choices between another lockdown or the health pass. This is not punishment nor blackmail. Health Minister Olivier Véran, I'm going to murder these French names, attempted to explain despite it sounding a lot like blackmail. The fines for noncompliance are steep and may include time behind bars. People who do not present a health pass could face up to €10,000 and up to 6 months in prison. Owners of establishments welcoming the public could be faced with a €45,000 fine and up to a year in the slammer, according to the draft text. So if you go somewhere and you don't have your little, if you don't have your papers, please, €10,000, 6 months jail. If owners aren't constantly checking for people's stuff, you know, I mean, like cafes, restaurants, they're not like busy at all. €45,000 and a year in the slammer. Officials will also limit free coronavirus testing and no longer pick up the tab when it is non-essential. It is not essential, beginning in September, to further encourage vaccination. So they have it up in there. They're like, oh, you can just have a negative COVID test, but like, then they're going to like start curving at least free COVID tests. That's what it sounds like. Healthcare professionals and retirement home workers will be suspended for a month if they do not comply with the vaccination requirements by September 15th. They may be fired if they do not use the month off to get vaccinated. Then also here in America, I haven't like fully looked into it, but I believe there's like a hospital system in Texas that were requiring like the nurses and stuff to get vaccinated. I think there's like half of them, 50, 60% were like, no, we're not getting it. And I guess they were like, they're planning to like fire them. So at some point in time, they're going to like lose like half of their staff. And there's like other, there's like, I've heard there's like other hospital systems that were like trying to do something similar. So I don't know if under the guise of it being a private company, if they can really force that, or to like under state mandates force it. I don't know. It's a lot of like gray area. Dr. David Samadi, director of men's health at St. Francis Hospital in Roslyn, New York, and Newsmax contributor, tweeted about the suffocating restrictions. There will soon be prison sentences attached to the new French laws for vaccine passports. If you're caught in a restaurant without proof of vaccination, you face up to 6 months in jail. The restaurant owner faces up to a year for hosting you. Does that sound extreme? Nah, sounds French. Business owners worry that they will lose customers due to the new rules and are concerned with the logistics of having to verify the status of each of their guests. I'm afraid it's going to be complicated, said John Hubert. It's probably John Hubert from the Hotel and Catering Industries Association. Our role is to welcome people, to give pleasure. This will turn us into Glenn Demarais. Glenn Demarais is an armed police officer of France. Not all French people will surrender to the new restrictions. Responses on Twitter indicate that there are fighters amongst them that will fight against what happens to increasingly look like medical apartheid, which kind of sucks. I've been to, like, it was over a decade ago, but I've actually been to France. I was in Toulon, France. So, I mean, it was cool. I would like to go visit, obviously not anytime soon, but I'd like to go, and because I've been to like, you know, this is getting side note here, but I've been like Italy, you know, like Portugal, a little bit, Spain very quick. Like I said, France, Greece very quick, because I've been to like kind of like around the Mediterranean stuff. And I'd like to go back and visit, but because I mean, I'd like to go this year, like travel. Last year was probably a lot worse, but I'm getting sidetracked. But I've been to France before, so that's what I was trying to say. It was only for a few days, but whatever. I am French. I am ready to fight on the front lines and risk jail for going to a restaurant unvaccinated. Prisons are already filled to the brim. A few heroes are needed only, and they will break. Because I remember too, like, because I guess France has had like the Yellow Jacket protests, and they also had like the gas or the diesel, like fuel tax increases and stuff that they had. Because I think I remember they had that. They had like all these like farmers like driving through like cities and stuff like on their tractors, like as a protest for that. So they do seem to do protest. I'm French and I live in a real nightmare. Tomorrow I will participate in a big demonstration for our freedom. We will fight. Macron must go. As a mother, I have never been more scared about the future for myself, or mostly my children and what they may have to endure in their lifetime. It hurts my heart so much to think my kids will not have the freedom I had. I will fight. Also, it's kind of bad, I think, too, because they're in the EU, so they're like in a kind of, I don't know, the EU just seems like not a good idea. I think it's a good thing that like the UK did its like Brexit thing and like got out of there. So like a country should be its own independent country and not be forced into like some kind of weird thing. Like they can still work together, but a lot of those countries seem to be willing to, I don't know, bend to the knee or something like that, I guess is the best way to put it. In the United States, the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, Dr. Anthony Fauci, has indicated that the federal government is not likely to mandate a nationwide vaccine verification requirement because he said we almost never mandate things federally. However, he is sure some businesses will adopt mandatory COVID vaccinations. I talked about it with the Facebook thing. Then also last year I was talking about it too, like these like state and federal authorities are like almost like forcing like private businesses to enforce. They were enforcing the mask, and like if you didn't do it, you'd be getting fined, like out of the wazoo. I don't know if they can do it. Technically, they shouldn't be able to do any vaccine passport stuff, but I think there's people like trying to like legally get around that, because it should be like you don't disclose your medical information to like random people at a retail store. But Fauci's lied, and he's admitted to lying too about, he was saying like no mask, then like double mask, but he's saying he told the public no mask because he's wanting like to get the healthcare professionals like their mask. Then he said, like, I think on the 2020 interview he did, he admitted to lying at least twice. In there, he's like also saying, like, for the herd immunity thing, he was saying it's like 75%. When they're getting close to that, it was like 80, 85. He was getting it close, and he like kept moving the goalpost to like kind of just get more restrictions. We'll get into this here too. This is kind of like this one's on. Got a little bit some other stuff here. It's talking about with the cafe owner here. It's like one cafe owner said if people needed to pay to get tested to have a beer, they're just not going to come. A collective of angry restaurant owners was scheduled to meet the Paris police chief on Thursday to discuss the measures and their implementation. It's saying far-right leader Marine Le Pen, I'm assuming it's called them a grave assault on civil liberties. A fellow member called it divisive, authoritarian, and hygienist coup d'etat on the far left. I'm not entirely sure how their far right, far left works, but I figure the right and the left. Jean-Luc, however you say that, of France, said the rules were an abuse of power that would lead to widespread social discrimination because not everyone had equal access to the vaccine. I was also kind of getting what I was talking about earlier too, like some people, like their doctors are advising them because of whether they're pregnant or certain allergies or something, like they'll have some kind of like adverse reaction, like the doctors, their own personal family doctors advise them not to get it because of whatever reason. So if they're making people kind of like second class citizens because they're not vaccinated, because I think I heard somebody saying like the Foo Fighters were like forcing, like they're doing shows but you had to be vaccinated to go. I think they're having to like cancel a lot of shows now because like people are, well, it might have been like some of their staff was getting COVID or whatever, which is hilarious if you're like vaccinated and you still get COVID. Hilarious because they're pushing this as propaganda, and like obviously I don't want them to get sick, but yeah, it's the constitutional imperative of preserving public health has already necessitated the greatest assault on individual liberties since the Second World War lockdown, noted one expert, Jean-Philippe de Rossier. Another, Dominique Rousseau, told Le Monde that as far as the law is concerned, there is no constitutional obstacle. The public interest is at stake, and it justifies these arbitrations because safety and liberty. It always goes back to safety and liberty. We're just doing this to make you safe. Don't you want to be safe? Give up all your liberties and you can be safe. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. The Great Reset. But I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I rambled on a little bit, but I don't know. It's like late. So I filmed this on the 21st morning of. So you can like, comment, subscribe, follow. The last video I tried to upload it natively to Minds, and it had like some weird glitch, like it wouldn't do it. So I don't know what's going on with that. but normally, I got this on YouTube. I got a backup on BitChute. Then also I put it here on, because I don't know, like I'm wondering if you can just follow me on Subscribestar if you don't want to pay, if you can just follow me, because I keep posting like all the stuff here. It's kind of like a thing. Minds is good too. It'd be like Minds at christopherraypack.com, I'm pretty sure. But I put it up on YouTube, back up on BitChute in case it gets taken off of YouTube. If I say something they don't like, then I'm posting all that out to Subscribestar, to Facebook, to Gab, to Parler, and to Minds. Then also there is an audio-only version, which you can listen to at a couple of different places. It's through Anchor, and it goes out to Spotify as the big one, but it also goes out to, if we can pull this up here, it's available on 6 platforms: Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and on Spotify. So, all right, later.